In the right light, study becomes insight. But the system that dissed us teaches us to read and write. Is it Rage Against the Machine? What? When I say is it, that's normally the bit where you shout.
I know, but then you said something else.
Yeah, well, I was. You went.
So do you want me to?
What? Well, yeah. Okay. Is it?
Sorry about that. Bit slow off the mark today.
No, that's all right. That's all right. It's not one of the lyrics I know best of Rage Against the Machines. That one.
No, I mean, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. The one I remember the most.
I didn't want to say that one just because it had swearing in it.
It doesn't normally stop you.
No, that's true. That's true. And now you've said it anyway, so
yeah,
it didn't really.
Do you remember them doing that on the BBC?
I do.
Years ago, and then being told you can't say that. So, we won't say that.
Go away. I won't do what you tell me. Yeah, it's kind of It goes against the very grain, the very sentiment, doesn't it? Please don't do that bit. Oh yeah. Fuck you.
It's, I'm baffled. They're called Rage Against the Machine. You're the machine. Watch them rage.
We did. Obviously, I have a bit of a history of playing in covers bands here and there. And when I used to work for 742, Rage Against the Machine had an engineer called Roger. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyway,
the cabin boy.
You're on form today, aren't you? You're normally quiet during this bit. And anyway, so he was getting married, and Tony and Arthur used to have a band called the Slapheads.
Good name.
Good name, yeah.
Tony.
And I think they realised that they didn't want to go and do this guy's. He was tour manager, front of house engineer for bands like Therapy and Rage Against the Machine, and quite a good engineer, I think. And so it's his wedding, and we got lumbered to go and do it. So with a couple of practices, it was me, a couple of pals, Carlos Fandango. So off we go, get in a van, go to do this gig, get there, set up. And of course, we get in there, and there's the Wild Hearts, Therapy, all of these sort of
shit.
Yeah, 90s like rock and roll heroes and legends.
Wow.
And we're like, Mustang Sally.
God, I'd have gone home.
Well, I think Carl, given the choice, would have done. But you better knock on wood, big knock, all of that sort of stuff. And then Therapy came over, and they're like, "Can we have a go?" We're like, "Yeah." And they were like, "What? Fucking hell, it's not fucking." Then it's back on. It's the thunder.
Horrendous.
One of the worst nights of my life.
Damn.
Yeah, could have been so good, but now I realise why the Slapheads didn't do it, because they knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, don't blame them.
Yeah, thrown under the bus. They were good at that, throwing people under the bus.
I remember that used to happen every now and again when I was sort of freelancing, doing live sound, and they'd, you never knew what you were going to get. One day it would be some massive band who was storming the charts. Next day it would be some covers band. You just never knew, depending on what the gig was. But yeah, there were times when you got a house band who were playing dodgy covers who then were followed by someone really quite special, and you just felt really bad for them.
Yeah.
Because it's like most people in the audience at most kind of events see a covers band and think, they're amazing. They can all really play. Yeah. And then someone comes on who's
really good,
amazing, and they go,
right.
Yeah. Those geezers are not very good.
Yeah.
Harsh.
They were still booing them when we went back on.
There's so many of those in there. Walking onto the sound of your own feet. All of those little phrases. I invented one of my own, which has gone out into the world. Yeah. And it was a Nick Boyle situation. We were on tour in Germany with Kim Wilde years ago. I was doing front of house, and I was stood at the mixing desk, just getting stuff ready for the show. As people were starting to come in, they just opened the doors, and Kim's manager Nick phoned me up. He said, "What's it looking like out there? How many people are here?" I said, "Well, they've only just opened the doors." He goes, "Yeah, but are they coming in?" I went, "Well, steady trickle." and he was literally like, "Steady trickle."
What's the other one?
And that was it. And it's been a phrase ever since. I've heard other people say it. It's like, oh my God, I've started something.
Always leave them wanting less.
Always leave them wanting less is a good one. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, good. What we're looking at
today, Dan?
Analog obsession.
No. Although I could see why you went there. This is a new EQ from our friends at PSP Audio Web. I love PSP stuff.
I know,
They're magic. As far as I'm concerned, they've got some very clever people working there. Their code for analog
bit
plugins.
like, yeah.
Well, they're kind of talented. You know, we're just getting away with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, PSP have just released the Datamix Psp A567, which, if you can't tell from looking at it, which not everyone will be able to because it's quite a rare thing this came from. There was a mixing desk that this is from, the Datamix, which many moons ago was in the Record Plant Studio in NYC. I think it was in Electric Ladyland as well. There was a bunch, not many of them, but there was a few of them around, and most famously recorded people like Jimi Hendrix on these consoles back in the day.
Electric Ladyland would make sense then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Eddie Kramer, the producer, was using them back in the day, and he's endorsing this plugin. So, you know, if anyone knows what that sounds like, it's him. So what is it? It's a very simple, on the face of it, 3-band EQ. And we can see from looking at it, you've got your EQ on off switch, you've got a drive control where you drive into it. You've got this dual concentric knob design where the outer section controls the frequency, the inner section the cut or boost. Same for all three.
Is that not a bit tricky with the mouse?
It's actually not.
Right.
Some of them are. Depends on the company who implements it. Obviously, PSP, you know what they're doing. A little frequency thing pops up down here when you start moving it, showing you where you're at. So you can be very specific on your frequencies. Then you've got your output, obviously, over here. You might wonder, why can you turn the different bands off? If you turn them off but leave the channel on, it has a sound. It's got box tone, this thing. It's not like transparent at all. Down the bottom here, this channel select. So they've basically modelled 8 different channels, and you can flip between them so that, you know, you get that analog mojo of them sounding a bit different, not all identical. This little button on the left, that gives you an average. So just gives you an average sound of all 8, and this on the right, that gives you like a perfect one, a one that is perfectly calibrated, so when it says you're boosting at exactly 3k, you're boosting at exactly 3k, so you know what you're doing. The variation control there, if you're using this in a stereo configuration, that's how much variation will there be between the left channel and the right channel. So set it to nothing if you want them to be identical. The more you put it up, the more analog weirdness and differences you're going to get. We've then got Alt Q and Sharp, which I've had to screenshot this. So Alt Q engages an alternative Q mode, which lets you increase the frequency of any of the 3 bands without narrowing the Q. This doesn't exist in the real hardware.
It sort of does that rather than a Q that does that.
Yes.
Right.
And then Sharp engages a Sharp mode. So it said some units had a pronounced resonance in the high band caused by slight circuit modification. The resonance varies yet remains audible across the entire range of the high section. At certain settings, Sharp mode may affect the mid-section sound as well. So it's just an alternative version.
It's pretty mad that they've modelled that, actually.
It's pretty mad that they've modelled it, yeah. There's some other interesting things about this EQ which are really weird, and I sort of had to reread it a couple of times to get my head around it, but it becomes more apparent when you're playing with it. So the low band, when you're boosting, it's a peak EQ. When you're cutting, it can be peak or shelf depending on the frequency. The mid band is a peak on the boost and a notch when you cut. And the high band is a peak on the boost and a shelf in the cut.
Is that the same as the hardware?
Yes.
Wow.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
But it gives it a very unique sound, and you can sort of understand it. So the high band, when you're boosting it, it's a peak. But when you're cutting it, it's a shelf. That's quite a good idea.
Yeah. Somebody's obviously thought about that.
Someone's obviously thought about it. Yeah, that's kind of it. I think the one thing I will say is that it's the second you insert it, it's working, it's doing stuff. Even when you haven't set anything on it yet, it's already got a sound. It's very I don't want to use any of those words like thick, creamy, warm, but it's all of that. It's got that analog vibe about it. It's very obvious. There's a very pronounced analog vibe to this. I was pretty chuffed, actually. I put it over a drum bus to begin with on the song that I was mixing, and I was flipping hell, that might have to stay.
Yeah.
It really gave it a really interesting
What, with the
sound.
frequencies bypassed or using?
Just doing nothing, it sounds better, but the EQ itself, you think 3 bands maybe not flexible enough. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really good. massively impressed with the analogness of it. And it's weird in that PSP stuff, I've always loved the sound of it. I've never gone to one of their EQs as a go-to. I love the Vintage Warmer.
Yep.
I use the Xenon on everything. I know. But I use, things like the so much of their stuff. I use the what's the digital reverb emulator they did? I can't remember what it's called. The 224 and the 225 we reviewed a while. I use that all the time. There's a whole bunch of their stuff I use a lot. But I don't really use their EQs as a go-to. Don't know why, I just haven't. But I think this is going to become something that I'm using a lot.
It doesn't look like a Sean EQ, but I'm
I just think from a purely making something sound cooler, rather than I've got a problem with my EQ, I need to fix it. It's not that for me. It's I'm going to make something sound cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So, do you get a demo?
You do, like all PSP stuff. It's 30 days.
Wow, that's significant.
That's enough time to do your album twice.
Yeah, that's it. I thought we'd moved on from that one.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Never letting that go.
Yeah. So you could literally just download it, do an album, never use it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. And then once the demo has expired on day 31.
Yes. It's $149 full price.
Yeah.
Right now in the sale, because it's new, it's $99.
So, Sean.
Yes.
The Datamix Psp A567.
Yes.
Isn't it shit?
It really isn't, no. It's lovely. It's a really, really nice sounding EQ. It's not going to be for everyone, for everything. You're going to need more control for a lot of your EQ jobs, but for a sweetening kind of, I want to make something sound cool, this is awesome.
Excellent stuff. Go and have a look, but before you do, don't forget to like the video.
That would be cool if you did that. You can also subscribe or become a channel member, or both.
Yep.
What else have we got?
We've got Instagram, Studio Life 101. We've got our new Is It Shit top 5.
We've got a webpage now with the top 5, and there's a bunch of links down below as well. Go and have a look. It's always it's good. This top 5 is going to change now and again. There's some specific rules to it, which you can find in a special episode we did a few weeks ago.
There is also a selection of courses and services for your perusal and enjoyment.
You sound like an infomercial.
Yeah.
Should get you on the shopping channel.
Yeah. Wow.
Although all the
probably pays better than this.
Probably. Yeah.
This is a bit of the shopping channel, really, I suppose, isn't it?
The shopping channel for plugins.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Could it be a thing?
Maybe that's the next theme.
That's the next thing. We stand up in a white studio and hold up pictures of plugins.
Yeah.
You never know.
Anyway, until next time, sayonara, suckers.
Adios.